Good day, dear colleagues, dear members of the Dissertation Council. In accordance with the order of the Chairman of the Board, Director of Al-Farabi Kazakh National University, number 306, dated June 02, 2022, changes and additions made by order of the Rector number 82, dated 11/03/2022, the permanent staff, the Dissertation Council for the dissertation of study 8D041, Business and Management, approved in the amount of 6 permanent members of the Dissertation Council, and in accordance with the protocol number 12 of May 5, 2022, approved in the amount of 6 temporary members. At today's meeting, there are 11 members of the board, including 6 people specializing in defended dissertation. So, permanent members: Тургенбаева Ардак Испековна, chairperson; Мухамедиев Булат Ментаевич, deputy chairperson; Кужахметова Асель Кушурбаевна, academic secretary; Сагиева Рима Калымбековна, and Алибекова Гульназ Жанатовна. Дубина Игорь Николаевич is absent today, yes?
Yes, he is absent.
Okay, and temporary members: Симбиева Лязат Мухтабековна, Doctor of Economic Sciences, Professor, Гумилев Eurasian National University, Nur-Sultan City, Republic of Kazakhstan. Second member: Arupov Akimjan Arupovich, Doctor of Economic Sciences, Professor, Director of the Institute of War Economy in International Relations, Almaty, Republic of Kazakhstan. Берсимбаева Расиса Кудайбергеновна, candidate of Economic Sciences, Associate Professor, Kazakh University of Economics, Finance and International Trade, Nur-Sultan City, Republic of Kazakhstan. Жанакова Назигуль Нурлановна, candidate of Economic Sciences, Associate Professor, Center of Macroeconomic Research and Forecasting, Institute of Economic Research, Nur-Sultan City, Republic of Kazakhstan. Абдимумынова Алмакуль Шакирбековна, candidate of Economic Sciences, Associate Professor, Perpetata, Zorda University, Zorda City, Republic of Kazakhstan. And Alina Guljan Baltabaevna, candidate of Economic Sciences, Associate Professor, Isil University, Nur-Sultan City, Republic of Kazakhstan. So, there are 11 members of Dissertation Council today. This number of participants is sufficient for a quorum. Let me start the meeting with the Dissertation Council. I declare the meeting of the Dissertation Council open. On the agenda is the defense of the dissertation work by Есентай А on the topic the world financial crisis and national pension system, impact assessment and development prospects. On the specialty 6D05 1300 world economy, the dissertation is submitted for the first time. So, domestic scientific consultant, Doctor of Economic Sciences, Associate Professor, Institute of Economics of the Science Committee of the Ministry of Education and Science of Kazakhstan, Almaty City, Kazakhstan, Halitova Madina Muratovna, and foreign scientific consultant, PhD, Associate Professor of Ankara Yildirim Bayezid University, Ankara City, Turkey, Tolga Ihsan Medeni. Official reviewers, Uskilianova Asil Talapovna, Doctor of Economics, Associate Professor, Gumilov Eurasian National University, Nur-Sultan City, and Izikenova Asil Kulantayevna, PhD, Associate Professor, Kenjugaliya Sagentayev University of International Business, Almaty City, Republic of Kazakhstan. A domestic scientific consultant is present. Positive reviews from domestic and foreign scientific consultants are available. Official reviewers are present. Do the dissertation council members have any comments on the agenda?
No comment.
No comments.
No comments.
No questions.
Okay. There is a proposal to approve the agenda. Please give your votes. For. Who for? Dear colleagues. Okay. Against? No. Against? No. Abstained? No. The agenda is approved anonymously. The word for presenting the personal documents of the applicant is given to the academic secretary of the dissertation council, PhD, Kurahmetova Asil Kushurbayevna. Please, Asil.
Thank you, Dr. Spekna. Good afternoon, dear members and reviewers. So, Есентай А Kazakh, was born in 1991. She studied at a bachelor degree from 2008 to 2012 and graduated from the magistracy in 2015. She studied at the doctoral degree on joint educational program of the PG Research Institute of the Committee of Science of Ministry of Education and Science of the Republic of Kazakhstan and Al-Farabi Kazakh National University on the basis of the Gılım Ordası. She had her PhD thesis at the Al-Farabi Kazakh National University on specialty 6D05-1300 World Economy from 2017 to 2020. The dissertation work of Yesentai on the topic of the world financial crisis and national pension systems, impact assessment and development prospects on specialty 6D05-1300 World Economy was approved at the extended meeting of the Institute of Economics and Department of International Relations at Al-Farabi Kazakh National University on 9th of November 2021, order number 6, and recommended to the defense. So based on the materials of the dissertation work, 9 papers were published, one of them in journals included in the international database Scopus, 3 papers in scientific journals recommended by the Committee for Quality Assurance in the field of education and science of the Ministry of Education and Science of the Republic of Kazakhstan, 5 papers in materials of international conferences. All works were presented on international scientific and practical conferences. She began her career as a personal assistant of the chairman of Unified Accumulative Pension Fund. Then she was leading specialist in the Department of Strategic Research at the same department. Since 2018, she works as a scientific researcher at in Institute of Economics of the Ministry of Education and Science of the Republic of Kazakhstan. In the personal file of the applicant, there are all the necessary documents submitted in accordance with the regulation of Committee for Quality Assurance in the field of Education and Science of the Ministry of Education and Science of the Republic of Kazakhstan. She submitted materials, the submitted materials meet the established requirements for the preparation of the dissertation. For the defense of the Committee for Quality Assurance in the field of Education and Science of the Ministry of Education and Science of the Republic of Kazakhstan, defense is allowed. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Asil Shurbaevna. Do you have any questions to the Secretary regarding the personal file of the applicant?
Sorry, also I can present the applicant's publications list. Just a moment. Let me share my screen, please. So does it open? Can you see? There are a list of publications of the applicant. Let me close my screen. That's it. Arda Speaker, please.
Okay, thank you. So, do you have any questions? No?
No questions, Arda Speaker.
Okay. If not, please, the floor is given to the applicant for the presentation of main matter of dissertation work. Please remember the time limit of 20 minutes.
Dear Chairperson, dear members of the Dissertation Council, let me please introduce my dissertation work. The thesis is devoted to the research of pension provision in the Republic of Kazakhstan. I'm sorry, I forgot to share this presentation. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Regarding the relevance of the topic, at all time, in all conditions, one of the most important problems of organizing a person's life has been and remains the social stability at elderly age. The most important and significant achievement in the social sphere in most states can be considered the provision of a guaranteed income after getting the retirement age. Some segments of the population do not even manage to have such incomes during the active life, so they are not allowed to there is not allowed to save them and guarantee themselves a more or less acceptable income. The consequence of the existence of a pension system in the state is the need for pension provision and the possibility of its provision. It means the availability of financial resources. Under the current conditions of payments and deduction rates, none of the existing pension system in the world is truly balanced. Regarding the purpose of the study, object and subject of the research. The purpose of the object of the research is analysis of the impact of global financial crisis on national pension systems and determination of the directions and prospects for the development of the pension system of Kazakhstan in the conditions of economic downturn. The object of the research is the national pension systems. The subject of the research is the peculiarities of the development and reforming of pension system in the context of global demographic and economic challenges. To achieve these goals, the following tasks are solved in the dissertation research work. To study the genesis of the theoretical models of the relationship between the global financial crisis and financial stability of pension systems, to clarify the concepts of pension provision, to conduct a comparative analysis of the main currently existing concepts of reforming pension systems, to highlight the features and differences for pension reforms in developed and developing countries. And the fourth one is to develop a methodology for forecasting the main parameters of pension system until 2030, and depending on various scenarios of the demographic forecast. The scientific novelty of my research consists in the development of models for analyzing the relationship between global financial crisis and the stability of pension provision, in particular, taking into account changes in demographic process at the international level and their impact on the stability of the pension system. In terms of pension systems, the novelty of the study consists in the proposed approaches based on the use of methods for measuring and analyzing the level, components, and factors of mortality and the health of population, standardization of approach that can be used to assess the state of the pension system in the Republic of Kazakhstan. The features and differences, efficiency criteria, justification of pension reforms in developed and developing countries are shown. Also distinguished by the level and nature of economic development, taking into account the socio-political heterogeneity and uneven economic development of these states. The main provisions submitted for defense, therefore, the first one is the features of pension reforms in developed and developing countries, taking into account the birth rate, the development of financial systems and economies in general. Factors of financial stability of the pension system, macroeconomic environment, trends in the global economy, economic growth, development on the corporate sector. Models for analyzing the relationship between global financial crisis and the stability of pension system, in particular, taking into account the changes in demographic processes and the impact on the financial stability of the pension system. The fourth is suggestions and recommendations on the development of the pension system of Kazakhstan, taking into account the world experience. Now you can see the macroeconomic environment and trends in the economy that we structured. The first one is structural systemic imbalances in economic sectors. Their trend is extract and export-oriented industries are developing to the detriment of others. There is no diversification of the economy. The second one, weak development of processing industries, absence or sharp lag in the development of manufacturing industries producing high-value-added products. Dependence on the conjuncture of world markets. The country is highly dependent on the situation on the world markets of export commodities, backward material and technical base of all sectors of the economy. The trend is that most of the assets were inherited from USSR, and moral and physical deterioration of fixed assets, material and technical base in all sectors of the economy. The poorly developed transport infrastructure and logistics. The country is experiencing deterioration of transport infrastructure and vehicles, poor quality of roads, logistics, and insufficient innovation. The underground economy. The underground economy occupies 30-35% of GDP through the capital flight, concealment of income, and closeness, non-payment of taxes, and etc. The corruption that has engulfed all layers of society from the micro level to the macro level in ministries, departments, courts, tax, and other inspection bodies. Currency instability. The national currency has experienced several devaluations, doesn't enjoy the trust of the country's citizen. Weak development of system-forming industries. The potential of industries that could become the locomotive of the economy hasn't been used. Tourism, light industry, agriculture, oil refining. The migration of talented young people also is growing. Regarding the classification of impact of crisis by coverage, structure, level of impact on the pension system. Crisis is divided onto general and local. General crisis in terms of coverage are characterized by their impact on the entire economic system as a whole, and the greatest global consequence in contrast to local crisis, which involve an impact only on a part of the economic system. Another division of crisis is based on their problems and level of coverage. Also, there are regular, periodic and cyclical and irregular crises. Regular crises are characterized by their strict cyclicity, which implies a transition through all the known 4 phases of the cycle. Such a crisis in the beginning of a certain cycle, it has a certain periodicity during which the economy functions at various stages with the emergence of another crisis. Irregular crises, in turn, are characterized by less globality in general terms and contain immediate, partial, local, structural crises, the occurrence of which can be a relatively spontaneous phenomenon that doesn't have in its basic premise the passage of all phases of the cycle. And the structural crises, these crises are characterized by a discrepancy between the existing existing structure of social production and changing conditions for the effective use of resource, and associated with a gradual increase in intersectoral imbalances. Regarding the prehistoric times, the main stages of the formation of pension system in the countries of the world. The level of people's survival, that is life expectancy, has had a crucial role in the formation of social protection form for old age. The average human life expectancy in prehistoric time was extremely low, as you can see in the table. People occasionally lived to 26 to 30 years old. The situation changed somewhat during the Middle Ages. This period was characterized by many incurable diseases, poor and terrible nutrition, strife, wars, and etc. The average life expectancy in the countries of Europe in the 17th century reached only 30-31 years, and in the 19th century, life expectancy began to slowly increase. In England, they lived up to 32 years, in Russia up to 34 years. By the 20th century, it became clear that social insurance has a rather serious financial potential and makes it possible to improve the forms of social support for the population, provide an acceptable level of protection for workers, and at the same time allows solving the problems of industrialization in the field of social and labor relations. Social protection is based on social public legal relations and employment contract. Two factors had a significant impact on the formation of new views on social protection for the elderly population. The first one is that current stage of second demographic transition has led to the need for material support for employees who are at social risk or disability due to the old age or disability. Secondly, the emerging social and labor relations associated with industrial labor required new forms of social protection for employees and therefore began to include in their circle the cost of insuring employees against the loss of their wages. The classification of pension system. Pension provision of the population in any state is a complex socio-economic system. As a rule, the national pension system consists of mutually complementary elements. We highlight the factors that determine the specific of the national pension system in particular, mainly the state system, mixed system, predominantly private system. The next criterion for the systematization of pension system can be a principle of financing. In accordance with this criterion, the following types of pension systems are distinguished as you see in the table: the distributive pension system, accumulative pension system, or combined pension system. The national pension system is a complex socio-economic system consisting of mutually complementary elements or subsystems. The pension system can be combined, but is also not stationary. It develops and can switch from one type to another type. The distributive model of the pension system, or as it's known, pay-as-you-go system, is based on the principle of general solidarity. Therefore, it is called solidarity pension system. The essence of the principle is that the responsibility for the pension provision of the older generation lies on the younger generation. I mean, economically active population. Most often, the distribution system are state-owned. In the distributive model, as a rule, a guaranteed pension level is established, which depends on the length of service and the amount of salary. The changes in the pension system. Modern world pension systems in the last 2 decades of the past century were formed as a result of cardinal pension reforms, which are based on two approaches. The first approach is based on the obligation of each member of society to participate in collective insurance based on the principles of solidarity carried out by the state. The second approach involves the ordering of distribution schemes and the careful introduction of mandatory accumulative elements. This approach is typical for countries where there are mature universal distribution systems that cover the entire population and are supplemented by mainly voluntary systems based on personal insurance. The reform of pension system in developed countries began in the early 80s and was carried out in the following main areas: raising the retirement age, as made Germany, Great Britain, Italy, Portugal, Greece, for example, increasing the minimum period of work required to receive a pension, tightening the conditions for early retirement, tightening of pension indexation mechanisms, reduction of pension privileges of civil servants, transition to a wider use of fund element in the pension system, as in Chile, Peru, and Argentina. It turned out that despite local successes, the reforms carried out didn't lead to an effective solution of the social tasks to assign to a pension system. During the global crisis, pension systems of different countries are characterized by the percent of different pension provision structure. A study of this experiment has shown that most countries have several levels of pension provision. As you can see on the slide, the level 0 is called pension plan without contributions. The first level, the second level, and the third level. The third level is a mechanism that allows individuals to save additional money for pension on a voluntary basis. It is shown on the figure. It is obvious that economic growth isn't a guarantee of improving the living conditions of the population. In this case, the so-called quality of economic growth is very important, partly measured by such indicators as changes in employment and accordingly in earnings and in government spending, especially on social security. The demographic The demographic situation in CEE countries is characterized by a common factor for European countries, that is an increase in older population. The data confirming this is presented on the table below. Until recently, the CEE countries had large-scale module universal distributive pension schemes. Currently, the pension system in the states are in states of serious reforms. At the same time, due to the different economic levels of countries, the structure of their pension systems is quite diverse. The same can be said about the nature and depth of the ongoing reforms. In general, it should be noted that the pension system in CEE countries are experiencing the same difficulties and are just as comprising, for example, as the Russian pension system. The state pension continues to be the basis of pension provision. The transition to the new system is extremely slow, and the level of pension burden on the budget remains at a fairly high level. Now you can see the history of our Kazakhstani pension system development. In 1998, Kazakhstan was one of the first CIS countries to start the pension reform with a transition to a funded mechanism. Russia has switched to a two-tier system with the state pension fund remaining dominant since 2002, which they no longer have. By 2007, the market of Kazakhstan had already formed the process of concentration, consolidation of accumulated pension funds, and their transformation into institutional investors had passed. However, by 2010, the pension system was characterized by the fact that it couldn't protect savings from inflationary trends. The indicator of nominal probabilities, that is named K2, of all pension funds of Kazakhstan for the period of December 2010 was extremely low. It was 2.59%, while inflation at the same time was 7.4%. The average annual rate was 8.3%. These trends were the main reasons for the reformation of the pension system in Kazakhstan. By the beginning of the crisis, in our country, there were 14 pension funds operating in Kazakhstan. As of 1st of October, 10 accumulated pension funds been operating. Now you can see the worldwide volume of pension assets in million, and now you can see the Kazakhstani pension system. It's here. So in 2007, the number of contributors accounts was 2,059. Then as of January, it's increased to 10 million, 10 million accounts, and now it is 10,8,500 accounts. The new family model in developed countries consists of 2 working parents and 1 or 2 children. Thus, children cease to serve as a source of life support to the older aged. In developing countries, the demographic situation today looks different. Life expectancy is increasing, the birth rate remains high, child mortality is decreasing. The overall mortality rate remains at a fairly high level, but with a downward trend. Table indicators of the mortality tables of the population of Kazakhstan are constructed according to the method of consolidated conditional generation, and the indicators of life expectancy give an integral assessment of the age cross-section of the mortality contemporaries. Statistics on 4 indicators for the period of 1960 and 2019 were used. Usually, the indicators are divided into 4 groups according to the international log frame methodology that is used by World Bank indicators. According to the methodology, some of the indicators are output indicators, immediate results, resource results, and the 4th one is the consequences coefficient. For us, it is a pension burden. The idea of the work, the demographic crisis forces not only Kazakhstan, but also all developed countries of the world to look for ways to optimize their pension system, aimed at protecting the elderly population and promoting economic growth under the influence of the global financial crisis. Demographic changes in the population structure caused by a decrease in the birth rate and increase in average life expectancy have led to a crisis of pension systems in developed countries. In connection with the issues of carrying out economic and mathematical calculations of further modernization of the pension system are becoming particularly relevant and are included in the problems of insurance economic security. Reasons for the current situation at the micro level is the base for financing labor pensions. The official salaries fund of employees remains limited and doesn't show growth trend in the future. At the micro level, there is a reduction in the duration of individual working life, which doesn't allow to form sufficient amounts of conditional and real pension capital. Demographic changes in the population structure caused by a decrease in the birth rates and increase in average life expectancy have led to a crisis of pension systems in all countries, especially in developed countries, in connection with which the issues of conducting economic and mathematical calculations for further modernization of pension systems, taking into account the development of a multi-level model of pension provision, are included in the problems of ensuring economic security. Using predictive statistical models is a part of an analysis. 3 scenarios for the development of the accumulative pension system were modeled. They are realistic, pessimistic, and optimistic. Assessment of the impact of changes in the methodology for assigning the basic pension payment on the amount of total pensions and state expenditure until 2050, a comparison of the annual budget expenditure for the payment of the basic pension, and a comparison with and without changes in methodology for calculating the accrual basic pension shows that additional annual budget expenditure in 2017 was 23 million tenge. In 2018, it was 160 million tenge, and it continued to increase annually. The almost double increase in costs in 2018 and in subsequent years compared to 2017 is caused by taking into account the seniority of pensioners, both before 1998 and in the cumulative period after 1998. Assessment of the impact of reducing the length of service up to the 1st January of 1998 of citizens on the size of solidarity pension and state expenditures until 2050. A comparison of the results of the size of calculating budget expenditures for the payment of a solidarity pension with a change and without a change of the methodology for assigning a solidarity pension shows that additional costs in 2017 was 61 million tenge. In 2018, it was 123 million tenge, and it will increase until 2030. Further, the annual cost may be reduced. The increase in the cost of a solidary pension until 2030 is caused by continuous sharp increase in the number of pensioners associated with the so-called baby boom of children born after the war period, which was until 1960. After 2030, due to a decrease in the length of service until 1998, budget expenditures for newly retired pensioners are reduced. The total amount of additional budget cost associated with the change in the method of assigning a solidary pension from 2017 to 2050, and it will amount 3 million tenge. Here you can see our description. That is realistic, pessimistic, optimistic scenarios. For realistic, we show that the level of inflation remains the same. A pessimistic scenario, it's the level of inflation -2, and optimistic scenario is inflation plus 1%. Here you can see the list of the articles, but Silko Shibana before showed you. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Aygirem.
Silko Shibana, Daphne Speaker, should I stop the sharing of presentation or it should remain?
I think you can stop, but if our colleagues have many questions,
okay,
you have to open it. And so
let's leave it like this, okay?
Okay.
If it's possible.
Okay, the report is over. What questions will be for applicant? You are welcome.
Ардак Нисибековна.
Yes, Imkombekovna, please.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I would like to ask Aygirem 2 questions, such as, what factors influence the stability of Kazakhstan pension systems at the present stage? Why did you choose these factors? Second, what is your attitude to the change in the retirement age in Kazakhstan? Thank you.
Thank you, Rima Kombekovna. Who is next?
Can I ask?
Nazanatovna?
Daphne Speaker, thank you. My questions, Aygirem. What are the features of the pension system during the financial crisis? What is the current investment policy of the pension system of Kazakhstan? And how effective do you think it is? Thank you.
Thank you, Nazanatovna.
Can I ask, please?
Please.
Nazigul Nurlanovna.
Yes.
3 questions. Please explain the essence of your forecasting model. It's first question. Second question, do you think the policy of pension asset management in Kazakhstan should be changed now, and why? And third question, what in your opinion should be the demographic policy of Kazakhstan in the context of the financial crisis?
Thank you. Nazigul Nurlanovna, thank you. Who is next?
Professor Sivieva.
Aygirem, I have a few questions for you. The first question is, how does the global financial crisis affect Kazakhstan's national pension system? The second question, why does the analysis you are conducting include only 2019? What happened in 1990 and 1991?
Okay, 2 questions.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask?
Bulat Mintaj,
Yes.
please.
I think in this theme concerning with the pension system development, it is impossible to study it without using mathematical methods. So why you didn't show on your slides your mathematical approaches, which are in your dissertation? And could you show the page figure 8 on page 101? Could you or not? Can you or not?
I'm sorry, Bulat Mintaj, you want to show me to show the dissertation, right?
Yes. Because
The
this
page 101, right?
101, yes.
Okay. Should I do it now or when answering the questions?
On page 101, figure 8.
1 moment, please. I'm sorry, but it's downloading. 1 moment, please. Bulat Mintaj.
Okay. The dissertation is not on your computer.
Sorry, Bulat Mintaj, maybe you will ask your question without opening or for the period of.
It is a problem. You have a problem, yes? I want to ask you what? There are some graphs, but they're not given the designations. What they are not given? What here? Yes, yes. What is it? What shows this this diagram?
Okay, Bulat Mintaj, this is second question.
So the other question. There is the polynomial. Where is here polynomial? On page 101, maybe above or.
Bulat Mintaj, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Can you please speak louder? I'm really sorry, but
Do you? Could
Yeah.
you? Yes. Where is you?
Sorry, should I show you page number 101 again?
Again, yes. There is
Okay.
polynomial.
Just a minute, please.
You find some polynomial of 6th order. Where is it? Polynomial here. Well, this polynomial is of 6th order. You see that it is maybe of 5th order, yes, because is x5 is x in degree 5, yes? Here. As I understand. Maybe, but coefficient is too small. It is 10 in degree minus 13. 13, so very small value. So first of all, what are the characteristics of these coefficients? Are they statistically significant or not? And okay, and the last question, there is formula 4. Formula number 4. Could you show on this page, on page 102, 102. Here, what is this formula? What sum is equal to 65 in degree C of x and n of x. What means 65 in degree? What does it mean? Why do you use this formula? Where have you find it? Where did you find it? What is it? What is it? 6 in degree? Please, this is my last question. Yes, I finished. I finished.
Yes. Thank you, Vlad Mitaich. Айгерім, you okay?
Yes,
Okay. Who is next?
Professor Arup, questions.
Akimjan Arupovich?
Yes, I have 3 questions. If it's possible, the first question, page 41, table 3. I give him, it possible, the more comment about Chile experience. Comment about Chile experience. The second question, what do you say about new factors of financial stability in the pension systems of Eurasian economic units in the conditions of sanctions war? New factors of financial stability in the pension systems of Eurasian economic units in the conditions of sanctions war. I give him, that's okay?
Yes, Akimjan Arupovich, thank you for your questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Akimjan Arupovich. Thank you. Who is next?
May I, please? Agirim, thank you for your kind presentation. My first question. So you consider different foreign pension reforms? Yes, I'm talking about reforms, not system. You consider different foreign reforms, for example, in Australia, what else? In USA, Finland, Canada. And so my question is, what all these reforms adoptable for Kazakhstan and why? Is it clear? The second question about pension systems. And so in your work, you compared pension systems in developing countries and in developed countries. And what is the gap among them? What is the main difference of pension systems of these two groups? Thank you.
Thank you.
Two questions.
And who is next?
It's enough.
No? No questions? No other questions?
Maybe it's enough.
Okay. There are 16 questions total. So, Aigeram, if you need additional time to prepare for questions, we can give the floor to scientific consultants. Yes?
Yes, please. Can I have some time, please?
Okay. Okay, we give the floor to the domestic scientific consultant of the applicant, Doctor of Economics, Associate Professor Khalitova Madina, for the announcement of the review. Please.
Hello? I'd like to read the members of Dissertation Council. Today, Aigerim's dissertation work was presented to your attention, in which she made an attempt to consider the impact of financial crisis on the development of pension systems. You know that the theoretical and practical issues of the financial crisis are comprehensively considered in the works of scientists, and the main problem of studying is the investing of pension assets. Meanwhile, financial crises primarily affect the quality of life of the population, and the old groups of the population are at risk. In this regard, in her work, Aigerim made an attempt to build forecasts related specifically to demographic changes in the conditions of the crisis. I want to note that Aigerim knows the situation in the pension system because she worked in the pension fund for a certain time and tried to use her practical knowledge in today's work. Unfortunately, beyond the scope of the study were the issues of the impact of the pandemic, which all countries of the world have faced. But this task is quite extensive. Now, the threat of other types of forms of pandemics are brewing in the world. And from our point of view, the issue of studying of their influence on various aspects are quite serious and can't be limited to just mentioning in scientific research. The nature of their impact on both financial markets and pension systems can be quite complex, and therefore, in our opinion, these problems should be considered very deeply and thoroughly. In my opinion, the work of my candidate for the degree of Dr. PhD reveals new facts in the problems of pension systems and the development of financial crisis, which can become the basis for further research, and I think she will not stop of her achievement. Thank you for attention.
Thank you, Madina Muratovna. Thank you. So, the floor is given to the academic secretary of the Dissertation Council to announce the review of foreign scientific consultant, PhD, Associate Professor, Ankara, Yildirim Bayezid University, Ankara, Turkey, Tolga Ihsan Medini. Asel, please.
Thank you, Ortak Speaker. Let me share my screen. So, review of the official foreign scientific supervisor. The first chapter about the relevance of the research topic and its connection with general scientific and national programs. The dissertation was prepared as a part of the implementation of the program of targeted fundamental research In this regard, the study of the theory and mechanisms of pensions provision, development, and the development of scenarios for Kazakhstan is of absolute relevance. Scientific results and their validity. The novelty of the thesis is confirmed by the development of a set of models for analyzing the relationship between global financial crisis and the stability of pension provisions. The results obtained are justified and their reliability is confirmed. The theoretical and methodological foundations of the study were data-based on a structural approach using the following quantitative and qualitative methods like generalization, systematization, comparison, and so. So the degree of novelty of scientific results are defended. Also, practical and theoretical significance of scientific results. And there is a certificate of implementation dated October 8, 2021. Individual results of the study can be used when reading courses in the disciplines of management and economics. So compliance of the content of the dissertation within the requirements of the rules for awarding academic degrees. Despite the comments given by Oregon supervisors, the content of the dissertation on the formulation of a scientific problem and methods of its solutions, scientific novelty, content, and the results obtained fully meet the requirements for PhD dissertation. So in general, the presented dissertation research on the topic, the world financial crisis and national pension systems, impact assessment and development prospects, meets all the requirements for applicants regulated by the Control Committee in the Education and Science of the Republic of Kazakhstan. In this regard, it also deserves the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the specialty 6D050013 World Economy, Associate Professor Ihsan Tolga Medini. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Asil Kushurbayevna. Thank you. So, the applicant, Есентай Керім, please answer the questions.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Pekna. Rima Khalbekovna, thank you for your question. Regarding the first question about the influence of the stability of the pension system at the present stage.
I'm sorry for the interruption, but your connection is very poor, I think.
Now, do you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Regarding the first question of Rima Khalbekovna, the sense of the pension system involves the operation of numbers of interrelated measures and mechanisms. It includes organizational, administrative, social, legal, economics, and others. And they are all aimed at preparing everything necessary to support future pensioners, as well as regulating payments to those who have already reached the retirement age. What is my attitude to the change in the retirement age? The legally established retirement age for women is based on the results of research and long-term analysis conducted by international, maybe local experts, but and they of course correspond to international practice and the current economic and demographic situation in the world. But approved age is due to the need to form adequate pension payments after the release of Kazakhstani women on a well-deserved rest. And according, taking into account this basic and solid payments from the Unified Accumulated Pension Fund. As for me, I think that it is okay to increase the pension age for women because due to international labor organization standards, it should be equalized for the age for women and men. And also the questions of Gulnaz Janatовна, thank you for your questions. Regarding the investment policy of Kazakhstani pension funds. The identified problematic aspects of the investment activity are based on the following point that in general, there is an efficient and conserving low profitability of the structure of the URPF, it means the Unified Accumulated Pension Fund portfolio. The largest part of pension assets is allocated to finance the deficit of the state budget of the country. And thereby the pension savings of citizens are exposed to general economic risks and associated with the possibility of deterioration of the state budget. There is increase in the high rate of investment of pension assets in deposits of second-tier banks of the country. There are also increasing the risk for pension savings due to the unstable situation of the banking system and overall worldwide situation. The second question, what are the features of pension system during the financial crisis? Since the pension system of the first level are funded by contributors, by contributions from employees and employers, as a percentage of their wage, their probability is directly related to the previous place of work and level of the wages. Taking into account the fact that crisis primarily affects employment and wage levels, the probability of pension system has sharply decreased. As for the expenses of the pension system, the number of recipients usually increase during the crisis as the population tries to find an opportunity for early retirement or disability. The size of pensions during a crisis usually remains the same or maybe slightly rises as countries are unwilling to reduce the pension payments, even when the level of the wages decreases. Thus, significant income losses and increased expenditures create a deficit in the financing of pension payments or increase the existing deficit in most countries. The economic downturn caused by the efforts of states to preserve the jobs leads not only a decrease in employment, but also to a reduction in the activity. In particular, older workers who are more vulnerable to coronavirus or some diseases, who have fairly significant pension rights, are often less likely to return to work, may stop working or may retire. That's why during the crisis, the pension system is, of course, has significant effect on it, and it's not usually positive. Regarding the questions, Nadia Nurlanova. Nadia Nurlanova, thank you for your questions. Regarding the demographic policy of Kazakhstan and how I think it should be done. Focusing not only on increasing population is a wrong policy, I think. In parallel, it's necessary to develop social infrastructure, maybe constantly create new jobs, improve the education system in accordance with the modern requirements, provide maybe high quality medical services. After all, the increase in the birth rate without developing socioeconomic components can lead to a social tension in the social future, in the society in the future, I think. Regarding my sense of the model, the sense of the model is that it shows that every year state pension burden will increase. Of course, it's showing that the state budget will have some effect on it because state spends a lot of money on the pension provision because retirees, the number of retirees are increasing and the number of people, active population, working active population is not sufficient to provide one pensioner with sufficient funds for the retirement age. Regarding the next questions, as I remember, it was, let me type question. Regarding the model, The model is multiple regression model. It was based on 4 statistic groups. The last one is the pension burden, population in the largest city, mortality rate, and birth rate. The idea of the work is that demographic crisis forces not only Kazakhstan but also all countries to look the ways to optimize this, to optimize their pension systems. And demographic changes in the population structure caused by a decrease in the birth rate and an increase in average life expectancy have led to a crisis of pension systems. Why we choose these maybe coefficients? Because regarding the World Bank indicators, these 3 indicators were available from 2016 and 2019, and it were all full, and that's why we choose these coefficients, because when we make analysis, we should have all years full for making some regression model. Regarding the questions of regarding the Chilean experience, Chile has the same pension system as Kazakhstan. It's multi-component, it's combined, it has phasable system, it has accumulative system, and of course basic pension system. As I remember, in 2010, our Kazakhstani workers from Ministry of Social Protection and from the Unified Accumulated Pension Fund had a meeting with the Chilean government for taking the experience and making it possible for our country. And we have the same pension system as the Chilean pension system. Regarding the new factors of pension for European countries, right? And what is possible to make for Kazakhstan? European countries making improvement in increasing the retirement age. They are tightening the minimum period work required for getting the pension. They also make a reduction of pension privilege for civil servants. They are also tightening conditions for early retirement, for example, Germany, France, Australia. Regarding questions, Asir Kushabayevna, thank you also for your questions. One moment, please. You I think asked a little bit the same question as I answered to Akim Janalukovic regarding Australia, Finland, and what is possible to make for Kazakhstan. I think that the first factor that was made by Kazakhstan is increasing the retirement age and equalizing the retirement age for men and women. I think it's great. Also, Kazakhstan can tighten the pension indexation mechanisms as it was made by Australia, Holland, Finland, Greece. Also, it is possible to make for Kazakhstan tightening the conditions for early retirement, because even after the pandemic situation in our country, in worldwide, there were lots of people trying to get early retirement. And when they go to retirement, they have no sufficient money to be on the pension. Regarding pension systems in developed countries and developing countries, pension system in developed countries and developing countries, they usually they usually they have some classes and they have some differences, and but the same is that all countries now increase the retirement age, as I said, 3 questions again and again, because nowadays even OECD organization writes in their report that retirement age, increasing the retirement age is now in 33 developing countries. They are trying to increase, for example, Norway, Netherlands, and Denmark. They increase the retirement age till 77. They are planning to do it till 2027, and some countries are increasing the retirement age till 73. That's it. I'm done with the questions. If you have some comments.
Are you finished? Okay. Okay, thank you, Aygerim.
Sorry, Aygerim, I didn't hear the answer to my questions about effect. Simbieva, Professor Simbieva, 2 questions.
Yes, of course. I'm sorry, I lost.
Repeat my questions.
Yes, I'm sorry.
The first question, how does the global financial crisis affect Kazakhstan's national pension system? And the second question, why does the analysis include only 29? What happened in 22 and 2021?
Thank you, Elizabeth, for your questions. I'm sorry that I lost my notices. Regarding the effect of the financial crisis on the pension system of Kazakhstan, I can say that it didn't have effect on the number of contributors or number of accounts made in the UIPF as mandatory contribution, but it has some negative effect in investment policy of our pension funds, because investment returns sometimes get to the minus. And as we know, investment policy is made by National Bank of our Republic and National Committee on Determination of Pension Funds. And the second question is why we took the period only to 2019. I'm sorry, but the work was done. The majority of work was done before the pandemic, and that's why we had dates for that time. I will mention your suggestion about that in my future research. Thank you.
Okay. I also have to say, I didn't understand your explanations. This polynomial, why did you construct this polynomial? If purpose was to for forecasting, do you hear me? Here?
Yes, now I hear you. Thank
yes,
you.
If your purpose was forecasting using this polynomial, I think it is not a good idea, because polynomial is constructed as an interpolation inside of some interval, and forecasting, it means you use this polynomial outside of this interval. So it is not good, maybe good. So please explain me this. What is the purpose of construction of this polynomial?
I'm sorry, we just wanted to show it on the picture, but we used multiple regression model, which we made in Excel file. That's my explanation. I'm sorry.
you can say by words. What is the, how did you use this constructed polynomial? You received this polynomial, estimated its coefficients, and how do you use it then? Did you use it then? For forecasting or for some other purpose?
What purpose of constructing this polynomial?
Yes, how did you use this constructed polynomial? What did you receive using this polynomial?
We just wanted to show it at a glance, not only by the text or its file. That's why we constructed this polynomial.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for your questions.
Okay. Okay, dear colleagues, is everyone satisfied with the answers? Maybe are there any other questions?
I'm satisfied, Arda Spekana.
Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you. The floor is given to the first official review, Ускеленова Asil Talapovna, Doctor of Economics, Associate Professor, Gumilev Eurasian National University, Nur-Sultan City, please. Asil Talapovna, microphone. Microphone. Asil Kusherbaevna.
Sorry, Asil Talapna, sorry, can you hear us? Can you hear? Are you here? Asil Talapovna? Asil Talapovna, sorry, could you turn on your microphone, please? Wait a minute, okay? I will call her.
The research topic corresponds to the priority direction of the development of science and has both theoretical and practical relevance. In this regard, the study of the theory and mechanism of pension provision development and the development of the directions for the modernization of the pension system of Kazakhstan is of absolute relevance and is directly related to the task set in the state development programs of the country. In particular, the strategic Kazakhstan 2050, the strategic development plan of the Republic of Kazakhstan until 2025, the main objectives of which is achieve qualitative and sustainable economic research, leading to the increase in the welfare of the population of the Republic to the level of the OECD countries. Sorry, may I ask, just one, please.
Это же не вы делаете.
Just may down, please. And I recommended this work Можно какая-то рекомендацию? No.
Ansel Talapna, sorry, I think your connection is very poor.
Dissertation research on the world financial crisis and national pension system impact assessment and development prospect is recommended for public defense. The applicant dissertation to be awarded the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, PhD, in the specialty world economy. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Asil Talapovna.
Sorry.
The floor is given to the second official review. Зикенова Асель Кулантаевна, PhD, Associate Professor, Кинжигалик Сагадиев University of International Business, Almaty City, please.
Good afternoon. Do you hear me well? Do you see me well? Okay. So, dear distinguished Chair of Judgment Council, Dissertation Council, members of Judgment Council, dear guests, and applicant Есентай А. So, it's a huge honor to review this research work, and I'm very happy that our young scholars are doing research in the area of national pension systems. So, I've been advised by the very experienced people not to read the whole review. So I completely support this approach. So this is why I will proceed to the comments, which require some justification or explanation by Есентай А. So my comments are as follows. Some of them were asked by the members of Dissertation Council. For instance, it would be good to provide an explanation for some of the results obtained for a consistent presentation of the material. For example, there is no description of the following equation on page 103. This was about this polynomial equation. And this question was asked by Bulat Mintayevich. The next comment on provision number 3. So models for analyzing the relationship between global financial crisis and the stability of pension provision, in particular taking into account change in demographic process at the international level and their impact on the financial stability of the pension system. So here two analyses are submitted by the applicant. The first one is based on regression analysis, where the dependent variable is the pension burden, the short abbreviation PB, while the independent variables are the number of population in the largest city, mortality rate, life expectancy at birth. So the model itself is good. It includes the most important factors for calculating the pension burden, but in my opinion, one of the most important variables reflecting crisis or global crisis is missing. So since the proposed provision 3 is discussing the relationship between global financial crisis and the stability of pension provision. The second analysis model includes a forecasting of 3 scenarios: realistic, pessimistic, and optimistic. And here the demographic crisis is presented in the form of the above factors, but the presented actuarial calculations of the Unified Accumulated Pension Fund don't quite reflect the financial stability of the pension system. Also, since model was based on theory of generations, it would be a great advantage to consider demographic dividends. So the next comment regarding the literature, important statements in the theoretical review are supported by references to relevant and reliable scientific literature. I assume that the literature 32, 33 given in the table 11 on page 88 was erroneous because it doesn't correspond to the source 74 given in the main body text regarding this table. The sources used in the amount of 82 references are sufficient for a literature review. It's clear that there is a lack of fundamental research in the rather applied pension sphere and global crisis area, but it would be a great advantage to review the latest research, especially on the pandemic, in order to enrich the thesis. The scientific style of narration is sustained in the presented work. The doctoral thesis is presented on 129 page of computer text A4 and includes normative references, notations, abbreviations, introduction, 3 main sections, conclusion, a list of references, and appendix A. So there are my comments on the materials and illustrations. So table 9 on page 81 and 82 is not clear and inconsistent with the main body text. Some words in figure 6 on page 87 are written in Russian. 2 tables 11 are presented on page 88 and 89. In figure 9 on page 103, the forecasting is supposed to be until 2026. However, period presented is covering 1990 and 2018. So the idea of a forecasting based on dependence data is rational, reasonable, but there is no continuation of this trend on the chart until 2026. And the content of this dissertation corresponds to the objectives and tasks of the research as a complete independent study contains a set of reliable scientific and practical results put forward by the applicant. So this is my short review. Could you suggest, please, shall I say my final conclusion, or it will be done by myself further? Should I read now, or?
No, thank you. It is quite enough.
Okay, so yeah. So I'm not expected to read my final conclusion. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will just
so much.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Ardaf Inspekna, please.
Thank you, Asil Kuntarna. Aygir Yesentai, please respond to the comments from official reviewers.
Dear Asil Kushibana, dear Asil Kuntarna, thank you for your reviews. I really appreciate your time working at you spent like my dissertation thesis. All suggestions and all recommendations, I agree with them. And in my, if it will be possible in my future researches, of course, I will be more attentive to the remarks you said before. I agree with all the suggestions and recommendations. Thank you for your reviews.
Thank you, Aygir. Dr. Asil Talapovna, Asil Kuntarna, are you satisfied with the answer?
Yeah, I'm fully satisfied, and thank you very much for taking into account my comments and doing your research work better.
Thank you. Thank you. So formal discussion is over. Official reviewers gave positive feedback on the dissertation of applicant. We turn to discussion, free discussion. Who wants to speak? You are welcome, please.
Dr. Inspekna, can I speak?
Yes. Please.
Thank you, dear members of the council, dear guests. I think that there are no pension system which is immune from the global financial and economic crisis. But in these terms, the candidate tried to justify and propose factors of financial stability of the pension system which are specific for Kazakhstan and which can be taken into the consideration by government decision makers when designing the national financial, economic, industrial policies in order to minimize the risks of global financial crisis on the pension system. Another finding is the relationship between the global financial crisis and the stability of pension system has scientific novelty, I think, due to taking into account changes in demographic processes at the international level and their impact on the financial stability of the pension system. This finding can be also taken into account when planning and realizing national policies. And we can see that during the last decade, we could see the global volatility, which impacted financial stability as well. So the thesis research and their findings have high relevance and topicality, and the scientific novelty has no doubt. There are some untranslated parts in some figures, some misprints and errors to edit, but in the general, the meaning and sense of this thesis is not suffered. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina Jonatana. Anyone else who want to speak up? Please.
May I say?
Okay, Blattman, please.
So I put many bad questions maybe, but I think that this theme is very important for all people in Kazakhstan. She tried to use mathematical methods to prove some hypotheses. So she made a lot of mathematical calculations in hand maybe, but there are some packets for doing this mathematical analysis calculations using computer, such as multicollinearity analysis. She has done a lot of calculations step by step and so on. So despite of my questions, I evaluate this in general. I evaluate this work as positive, as good work.
Okay, thank you, Blattman.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Dear members of Dissertation Council, today we have heard the results of tests made by Yesentai A. Almost all national economies of the world are currently experiencing the impact of global challenges that have significant economic and social consequences. Financial crisis and crisis in the general significantly change the demographic picture and give additional acceleration to the processes of reforming and improving pension system. In this regard, IGRIM's work is undoubtedly relevant, and in our opinion, the PhD student has done quite a lot of work. Theoretical calculations on the presented classification of the impact of the financial crisis on pension systems are of particular interest. This classification makes it possible to more clearly understand the possible scope of the impact on certain structural components of national pension systems. In practical terms, the author's recommendations and suggestions on the recalculation of solidary pension, a differentiated approach to retirement age can be applied when improving the pension system. It should also be taken into account that IGRIM is the author of a number of articles, including in rating journals. I believe that the dissertation work has theoretical and practical significance, and I believe that the applicant should be supported and defended. Thank you. Thank you for attention.
Thank you. Nazigul Nurlanna, thank you. So, if not, we should give the floor to the applicant for the final word. Please, Agiram.
May I start, Dr. Speaker?
Yes.
Thank you for participating in today's defense. Dear members of the Dissertation Council, dear Chairperson, I really appreciate your time, your patience working on my defense, on my thesis work. All suggestions and recommendations will be taken into account, maybe not in this work, but in future works. I really grateful for you. Thank you for all questions, reviews, and suggestions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Agiram. So, we have completed the dissertation of the dissertation work of Yesentai Agiram. We proceed to the next stage of the council meeting to conduct secret voting. Asel Kshurbayevna sends you the link for the voting. Asel?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Spekna. So, dear members of the Dissertation Council, dear reviewers, so wait a minute, I will send you a voting link in 2 seconds. So I send it now. Please check your emails. You should check your input folders. Also, if you couldn't find a message from me, you should check your spam folder, okay? If you not find, I send the link to all members. And so let me repeat that you have 4 options for choose. The first option is award a Doctor of Philosophy degree. The second option or choice, submit a dissertation for revision. The third choice, submit a dissertation for redefense. And the last one, refuse to award the degree of Doctor of Philosophy PhD. Please check your email boxes. And I kindly recommend you to write to our chat if you complete your survey, okay? And please don't forget to press the button submit after choosing the one answer, please. If you have some troubles with the voting link, please just tell me. Thank you, Gulnaz Jannatovna. Also, dear Dissertation Council members and reviewers, you can write, you can message to our chat if you're done. Let me check. So I received 10 answers. And also, finally, I should receive 13 answers, yes, because Igor Nikolaevich, Dubina Igor Nikolaevich is absent.
Yes.
Yeah, and there should be 13 answers. And so let me remind that you can vote just once, okay? You should vote that once. So let me check, please. Okay, the system is downloading now. I have received just 10 answers, and so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, who else? Are all members received the link? Are there anybody who has any troubles with link? No? Let me reload this page for checking. Let me check. I have just 10 answers. Let me check. 1, 2. Let me check. Let me check again. The system is downloading now. Wait a minute, please. Wait a minute, please. Internet connection is poor. The system is downloading now. The 11 answers and the 2 members didn't vote. Are all members received the link? Dear dissertation council members and reviewers, you should press the button submit. Maybe 2 of you didn't press this button, blue button, submit button.
Yes, I
I
pressed.
need 2 more answers.
Yes, I pressed, yeah.
Yes.
Let me check again. So I'm downloading this page, reloading this page. Let me check this. So I send the link to your email boxes, yes, to your emails. So if you find a message from me, you should open this message and vote. After choosing one of the 4 options, you should press the button submit, blue button submit, and choose the right answer.
How many votes now?
Yes, I can check who didn't give answer because it is anonymous. Therefore, I can't say who didn't answer. Please, who forgot to press the button submit, check your questionnaires. Let me check. Wait a minute, please. Let me check. The system is reloading now. Okay, so there are total 13 responses. Okay, thank you, dear members and reviewers. I'm ready to present our results.
You want the result of the secret ballot?
Yes.
Law is given.
Yes, I'm ready.
To Secretary of the Council, Asil Kusherbayan, please.
Thank you, Daphne Spekna. Let me share my screen. Can you see? Can you see it?
No.
Not yet.
Yet.
Now we see.
Okay, so as you can see from our today's voting results, there are total 13 responses, and 12 of them vote to the submit to award a Doctor of Philosophy PhD degree, and 1 vote to, just a moment, submit the dissertation for revision. Daphne Spekna, that's it.
Okay, thank you. I ask you to vote for the approval of the results of secret voting. Please, who for? For, thank you. Against? No. Abstaining? No. So, thus, the voting results have been approved. Based on the results of the secret ballot, the Dissertation Council of Al-Farabi Kazakh National University in the Dissertation Council of the Direction of Study 8D041 Business and Management made a decision to award Есентай А the degree of the Doctor of Philosophy PhD in the specialty 6D051300 World Economy. Есентай А, on behalf of the Dissertation Council, I congratulate you on the successful defense of the dissertation and wish you good luck in future research.
Thank you very much, Arda Spekna, and all members of the Dissertation Council.
Okay, at this meeting, the Dissertation Council for the defense of the doctoral dissertation of Есентай А declared closed. Thank you very much, dear colleagues.
Thank you, Arda Spekna. Congratulations. Thank you, all members.
Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Agirim. Thank you, all the members and